People who don't care about attention, status, popularity, or being in the spotlight often seem unusual in today's world. Society is built around being seen, being heard, being admired, and being validated. Social media, competition, and comparison constantly push the idea that visibility equals value. But there is a group of people who quietly step out of that race. They are not trying to be the most followed, the most praised, or the most talked about. This does not mean they lack ability, confidence, or ambition. It means their psychological reward system is different. Their sense of worth does not depend on how many people are watching. Most people receive small emotional rewards from attention. Compliments, likes, recognition, and praise trigger dopamine, the brain chemical linked to pleasure and motivation. Over time, this can create a dependency where a person feels good only when they are noticed. But individuals who don't care much about spots are usually less dependent on these social rewards. Their motivation comes from internal sources like curiosity, mastery, personal growth, peace of mind, or meaningful experiences. Instead of asking themselves, "Who noticed me today?" they are more likely to ask, "Did I learn something? Did I grow? Do I feel aligned with myself?" This internal focus creates a more stable emotional life because their mood is not constantly rising and falling based on other people's reactions. Their identity is also more stable. Many people build their self-image based on feedback from others. If they are praised, they feel worthy. If they are ignored, they feel invisible. If they are criticized, they feel broken. This makes identity fragile and dependent on the outside world. People who don't chase attention usually develop a self-concept that exists even without an audience. They know who they are in private, and that version does not change much in public. They are not performing different personalities for different groups just to be liked. Psychologically, this is a sign of strong internal grounding. They don't need constant reflection from others to recognize themselves. Often, these individuals have already gone through a phase earlier in life where they did seek attention or approval. They may have tried to impress others, gain popularity, or prove their worth through recognition. But over time, they discovered that attention is stimulating, not fulfilling. You can be admired and still feel lonely. You can be praised and still feel anxious. You can be visible and still feel misunderstood. That realization changes a person. They begin to value depth over display, meaning over image, and peace over applause. It's not that they reject people, they simply stop chasing emotional highs that don't last. Their nervous system also plays a role. Tension brings stimulation, and stimulation often brings pressure. Being seen can create fear of judgment, expectations to maintain an image, and constant comparison. For many people, this leads to ongoing low-level stress. But those who don't care about status often prefer emotional calm over social excitement. They feel safer in quieter environments, smaller circles, and slower lifestyles. Their system is less attracted to drama and more drawn to stability. They would rather feel regulated than hyped. This is why they might avoid unnecessary social competition or public display. It's not weakness, it's nervous system wisdom. Another key trait is that they don't experience life as a performance. A large part of modern culture encourages people to think about how everything looks from the outside. People post moments instead of fully living them, choose activities based on how impressive they seem, and shape their opinions to fit what will be socially accepted. But people who don't care about the spotlight tend to live in experience mode instead of performance mode. They do things because they enjoy them, not because they will get attention for them. They learn skills without announcing them. They have meaningful moments without feeling the need to document them. Their focus is on how life feels, not how life appears. Because of this, they also engage in less social comparison. Comparison is one of the biggest sources of insecurity and dissatisfaction. When someone constantly measures themselves against others, they rarely feel like they are enough. There is always someone richer, more attractive, more successful, or more popular. But people who are not focused on status tend to compare themselves mostly to their past selves. Their question is not, "Am I ahead of everyone else?" but am I becoming a better version of who I was? This type of comparison is healthier and more motivating because it is based on personal progress rather than social ranking. An interesting psychological effect of not caring about status is that these individuals are harder to manipulate. Many social influence tactics depend on people's desire to be liked, admired, or included. Flattery works best on those who crave praise. Social pressure works best on those who fear being left out. Trends control those who want to fit in. But if someone does not place much importance on social image, these tools lose power. You cannot easily control them by saying, "People will think you're strange," or "This will make you look successful," or "Everyone else is doing it." They make decisions based more on personal values than on public opinion. That is a form of psychological independence. They are also more comfortable being misunderstood. When a person stops performing for approval, some people will not know how to interpret them. Others may label them as unambitious, boring, antisocial, or lacking confidence. But these individuals are usually okay with that. They don't feel an urgent need to correct every false assumption about them. They accept that not everyone will understand their way of living. This shows strong internal validation and clear emotional boundaries. They would rather be authentic and occasionally misunderstood than be admired for a version of themselves that isn't real. Their relationships tend to be deeper and more selective. Since they are not trying to build a large social image, they don't feel pressure to have a huge circle of friends or public relationships that look impressive. They prefer a few people they can truly relax with, talk honestly with, and trust emotionally. Their focus is on emotional safety, intellectual connection, and loyalty. They don't ask, "How many people like me?" but "Who really knows me?" As a result, their social life may look small from the outside, but it often feels rich and meaningful from the inside. Because they are less distracted by chasing attention, they usually spend more time in self-reflection. They think about their emotions, question their habits, analyze their patterns, and try to understand themselves on a deeper level. This builds self-awareness, which improves emotional regulation and decision-making. They are less likely to act purely on impulse or social pressure because they understand their inner world better. This doesn't mean they are perfect or never struggle, but they are more conscious of what is happening inside them. Their definition of success is also very different from the mainstream one. In a status-driven mindset, success is measured through money, titles, followers, recognition, or influence. For someone who doesn't care much about the spotlight, success might mean peace of mind, freedom over their time, meaningful work, emotional stability, and healthy relationships. They are not necessarily less capable of achieving traditional success, they just don't see it as the ultimate goal. Their main goal is quality of life, not public image. This mindset protects them from certain types of burnout. Maintaining an image, constantly proving yourself, and worrying about how you are perceived is mentally exhausting. Many people suffer from anxiety, imposter syndrome, and pressure because they feel they must always look successful and confident. People who are not focused on attention still work hard, but their drive comes more from purpose than from performance. They are less likely to collapse under the weight of "What will people think?" because that question is not running their life. They are also comfortable appearing ordinary. They don't feel the need to stand out in every room or impress everyone they meet. They can blend in without feeling invisible because their sense of worth does not depend on being special in other people's eyes. They understand that a person can live a deeply meaningful, intelligent, emotionally rich life without constantly advertising it. Their depth is internal. Their thoughts, ideas, creativity, and growth exist whether or not anyone applauds them. Silence does not scare them as much as it scares many others. A lot of people chase noise and attention to avoid being alone with their thoughts. When things get quiet, insecurities, fears, and unresolved emotions surface. But individuals who don't rely heavily on the spotlight often develop the ability to sit with themselves. For them, silence is not emptiness, it is space. Space to think, to feel, to create, to understand. This ability to be alone without feeling worthless is one of the strongest signs of emotional maturity. None of this means they never enjoy appreciation or that they reject recognition completely. They are human, and positive feedback still feels good. The difference is that they are not emotionally dependent on it. Praise is a bonus, not a necessity. Attention is an occasional experience, not a basic need. Their emotional stability comes from within, which makes their life quieter on the outside but often more grounded on the inside. In a world that constantly says be louder, be bigger, be seen, these people quietly choose be real, be calm, be true. And while their life may not always look impressive from the outside, it often feels deeply satisfying from within. They are not playing the game of spots and spotlights. They are playing the game of inner alignment, and that game leads to a very different kind of success, one measured not in applause, but in peace.